Captain Lee Day stood on the bridge of Earth's first deep spaceship, watching the massive alien station grow bigger on the screen. Nexus Prime was huge, bigger than any city on Earth. Strange ships from across the galaxy docked at its many ports. Some ships looked like metal insects, others like floating crystals that caught the light from distant stars. "Captain," said Ambassador Choi Bin, walking up beside him. The message came through again. "The Valorians want an answer today," Lee Day nodded. The Valorians had sent their invitation 3 weeks ago. It was written in perfect human language. But the tone was wrong. Too polite, too formal. Like someone trying to be nice while holding back laughter. "They want us at their combat league," Lee Day said. "Why do you think they picked us?" Dr. Park Neri looked up from her tablet. She had been studying files about alien species since they left Earth. "I think they want to embarrass us," she said quietly. "Look at this data. Every species in the Combat League has some kind of enhancement. The Valorians have cybernetic parts. The Zithari have bodies made of living crystal. The Nexoids are half machine. And we have nothing," said Sergeant Kim Tae from his seat near the communications panel. "Just regular humans," Ambassador Choi Bin frowned. "That might be exactly what they want to show the galaxy. That humans are weak compared to everyone else." The ship's computer made a soft sound. "Incoming message from Nexus Prime," it announced. "Put it on screen," Lee Day ordered. The image that appeared made everyone on the bridge take a step back. The alien was huge, maybe 7 feet tall, with thick armor covering green-scaled skin. Its eyes were yellow and cold. When it spoke, its voice was deep and rough. "I am War Commander Thexver of the Valorian Empire," the alien said. "We are still waiting for your answer, humans. Will you accept our invitation to the Galactic Combat League?" Lee Day stepped forward. "This is Captain Lee Day of the Earthship Horizon. What exactly does this Combat League involve?" Thexver asked. Mouth opened, showing sharp teeth. It might have been a smile. "Simple endurance trials, running, survival challenges. Basic tests that any warrior species can handle. Unless Earth's warriors are too weak." The way he said weak made it clear what he really thought. Dr. Park Nari saw Lee Day's jaw tighten. She knew that look. The captain was getting angry, but he was keeping it controlled. "How long do these trials last?" Lee Day asked. "Days sometimes. The current record for the endurance run is held by a Valorian warrior. 200 kilometers in 15 hours. Quite impressive considering the hostile environment." Thexver's yellow eyes seemed to gleam. "Of course, we understand if humans prefer to remain in their ship. Not all species are built for real combat." "Ambassador." Choi Bin put a hand on Lee Day's arm, but the captain was already speaking. "We accept your invitation, War Commander. When do the trials begin?" "Excellent," Thexver said, and now his smile definitely looked like a predator showing its teeth. "Dock at Bay 47. The trials begin tomorrow. I look forward to seeing what Earth's finest can accomplish." The screen went dark. For a moment, nobody on the bridge spoke. "Captain," Ambassador Choi Bin said carefully, "are you sure about this?" "We don't know what we're walking into." "That's exactly why we need to do it," Lee Day replied. "If we run away now, every species in the galaxy will think humans are cowards. We'll never get another chance to prove ourselves." Dr. Park Nari was still, looking at her tablet. "The Valorians have been winning this combat league for 50 years, she said. "Their warriors have artificial muscles, enhanced bones, and computer systems that help them run faster and longer than any natural body could. What about the other species?" Kim Tae asked. "The Zithari have crystal bodies that don't get tired, like organic muscles do. The Nexoids can overclock their mechanical parts for short bursts of incredible speed. The Aethons can manipulate electromagnetic fields to make themselves lighter." Dr. Park Nari shook her head. "Everyone has an edge." "Everyone except us?" Engineer Oh-Sung, who had been quiet until now, spoke up from his station. "Maybe that's our edge," he said. "What do you mean?" Lee Day asked. "They all depend on technology or biological modifications. What happens when those things break down or stop working? We've always had to rely on what our bodies can naturally." Do, Lance Corporal Eugene nodded. My grandfather used to tell stories about soldiers in old wars who walked hundreds of miles without any machines to help them. Just their legs and their will to keep going. Dr. Parknari was quiet for a moment, thinking. There might be something to that, she said slowly, but we won't know until we try. 2 hours later, the Horizon docked at Nexus Prime, the station. Was even more impressive up close? The walls were made of some kind of metal that seemed to shift colors in the light. Alien beings walked through the corridors, and each one was different from the others. Some were tall and thin with too many arms. Others were short and wide with skin that looked like rock dot as the human team walked toward the Combat League registration area. They drew stares. Most of the aliens seemed surprised to see them. A few made sounds that might have been laughter. Look at them, one alien whispered to another in a language the humans didn't understand. So small and weak, why are they even here? But the team's translator caught the words and repeated them in English. Kimte's face went red, but Li Day put a hand on his shoulder. Let them think what they want, the captain said quietly. Tomorrow we'll show them what humans can do. At the registration desk, a mechanical-looking alien with glowing blue eyes processed their entry forms. Species, human, homeworld, Earth, enhancements, none listed. It looked up at them with what might have been confusion. Are you certain? You have no biological or technological modifications? We're certain, Li Day said. The alien made a sound like static. Very unusual. Most species require significant enhancements to survive the trials. Please report to Medical Bay 7 for pre-competition health screening. As they walked toward the medical bay, Dr. Parknari noticed something. The alien warriors they passed all looked confident, almost bored. Like they had done this many times before, but there was something else in their eyes when they looked at the humans, not fear exactly. More like curiosity about how quickly the humans would fail. Tomorrow should be interesting, Dr. Parknari said quietly. She had no idea how. Right, she was. The starting line looked like something from a nightmare. The ground was black metal with strange patterns that glowed red. The air smelled wrong, like burning plastic mixed with ozone. Above them, the artificial sky of Nexus Prime's combat arena showed a blood-red sun surrounded by purple clouds. Kim Tae stood next to 43 other warriors from across the galaxy. Most of them were twice his size. The Valorian next to him had cybernetic legs that hummed with electric power. Its yellow eyes looked down at him like he was an insect. 200 kilometers, the Valorian said in broken human language. You will not finish 50. Kim Tae didn't answer. He was busy stretching his hamstrings and checking his breathing. Simple things that his drill sergeant had taught him years ago back on Earth. War Commander. Vexverus' voice boomed across the arena from the loudspeakers. Warriors of the galaxy! Today you face the endurance trial. 200 kilometers across terrain that changes every 25 kilometers. Low oxygen zones, high gravity fields. Temperature extremes, unstable ground. Only the strongest will finish. In the viewing area above the arena, thousands of aliens had gathered to watch. Dr. Parknari sat in the human observation section, her tablet recording everything. Next to her, Captain Li Day watched Kim Tae through binoculars. His heart rate is steady, Dr. Parknari reported, watching the medical readouts from Kim Tae's suit sensors. Breathing normal, he looks calm. Good, Li Day said. How do the others look? Dr. Parknari switched her tablet to show readings from the alien warriors. Elevated stress hormones across all species. The Valorians are already activating their leg enhancements. The Zithari are hardening their crystal skin. Everyone is preparing for a sprint. And Kim Tae is just standing there stretching, like he's getting ready for a morning jog, a horn sounded across the arena. The race had begun. The Valorians shot forward like rockets, their cybernetic legs eating up ground at incredible speed. The Zithari weren't far behind, their crystal bodies reflecting the red light as they bounded across the terrain with long, perfect strides. The Nexoids activated their overclock systems and became blurs of motion. Kim Tae started running at a pace that looked almost casual compared to the others. Within minutes, he was dead last. The alien crowd made sounds that the humans' translators turned into laughter and jeering. Comments flooded the viewing area's communication system. The human is already falling behind. Look how slow it moves. This is embarrassing. Why did they even come? But Engineer Oh-Sung, monitoring the race from the technical station, noticed something interesting. Captain, he said quietly, look at Kim Tae's pace compared to the others. Lee Dae studied the data Oh-Sung was showing him. His speed is constant. Everyone else is already slowing down. The Valorians started at 60 kilometers per hour. They're down to 45 now. The Zethari started at 55. Now they're at 40. Kim Tae started at 20 kilometers per hour, and he's still at 20 kilometers per hour. Dr. Park Nari frowned. That doesn't make sense. At that pace, he'll never catch up. Maybe, Oh-Sung said. But look at this. He pointed to another screen showing power consumption and biological stress levels. The enhanced warriors are already using 30% of their energy reserves. Kim Tae is using 12%. By the 50-kilometer mark, the course entered the first environmental challenge, a zone where the oxygen level dropped to half of normal. The gravity also increased to 1.5 times Earth standard. The alien warriors began to struggle. Their enhancement systems needed more power to work in the thicker gravity, but the thin air meant their biological components weren't getting enough oxygen to support the increased energy demands. 3 Nexoids collapsed as their systems overheated. 2 Zethari warriors had to stop when cracks appeared in their crystal bodies from the stress. Several Valorians slowed to a walking pace as their cybernetic legs began to malfunction. Kim Tae just kept running. This is impossible, said Lance Corporal Eugene, watching from the communication station. How is he not affected? Dr. Park Nari was staring at her tablet in amazement. Look at his blood oxygen levels. They're still normal. His body is extracting more oxygen from each breath than it was at the start of the race. That's not possible, said a voice behind them. They turned to see a tall, thin alien with blue skin and 4 arms. It wore the white coat of a medical officer. I am Dr. Vextel of the Ethon Medical Corps, the alien said. I have been studying the biological readouts from this race for 20 years. What your warrior is doing cannot be done by an unenhanced organic being. What do you mean? Dr. Park Nari asked. Dr. Vextel pointed at her tablet with one of its 4 hands. The human's oxygen efficiency is increasing under stress. Its heart rate is steady even as environmental conditions worsen. Its muscle chemistry shows no signs of the lactate buildup that should be crippling it by now. Maybe that's just normal for humans, Lee Dae said. The alien doctor stared at him. Normal? This level of biological efficiency is what we spend decades trying to achieve with genetic modifications and cybernetic enhancements. You are telling me this is natural? By kilometer 100, Kim Tae was no longer in last place. He had passed 15 warriors who had either collapsed or were walking. The lead pack was still ahead of him, but the gap was closing. The course entered a new environmental zone, extreme heat. The temperature rose to 60 degrees Celsius. The ground became soft and unstable, like running on hot sand. More alien warriors began to fail. Their cooling systems couldn't handle both the external heat and the heat generated by their own enhancement systems. Several Valorians had to shut down their cybernetic legs completely to prevent permanent damage. Kim Tae loosened his shirt and kept running. Sweat poured down his face, but his pace never changed. Look at that, Dr. Vextel whispered. The human is using its water loss as a cooling mechanism. Brilliant biological engineering. It's called sweating, Dr. Park Nari said. All humans do it. All of them? The alien doctor's voice was full of disbelief. Your entire species has this capability? Of course, don't yours? Dr. Vextel made a sound like static. Most species in the galaxy overheat and die if they lose that much water. Your warrior has lost nearly 3 liters of body fluid and is still performing at peak efficiency. By kilometer 150, only 12 warriors were still in the race. Kim Tae was now in 7th place and still closing the gap. The alien crowd had gone quiet. The jeering and laughter had stopped. War Commander Dexver stood in the command center above the arena, his yellow eyes fixed on the screens showing the race progress. His own cybernetic systems were overheating just from the stress of watching. "Sir," said one of his officers, "the human has moved up to 5th place." Dexver said nothing. He was watching Kim Tae's biological readouts and trying to understand what he was seeing. The human's performance was getting better as the race went on. His efficiency was increasing, not decreasing. How is this possible? Dexver muttered. At kilometer 175, Kim Tae passed another warrior and moved into 4th place. The lead Valorian, Dexver's own son Kexver, was beginning to show signs of system failure. His cybernetic legs were drawing so much power that his biological components were shutting down to conserve energy. Kim Tae was still sweating, still breathing steadily, still running at exactly 20 kilometers per hour. The alien audience was completely silent now. They were watching something that shouldn't be possible. A completely unenhanced biological organism was outperforming their finest enhanced warriors through nothing but natural capability. Dr. Vextel turned to Dr. Park Nari. "What kind of world did your species evolve on?" it asked quietly. Dr. Park Nari thought about Earth, about the mountains and deserts and forests that humans had been running through for millions of years, about the ancestors who had chased down prey animals across vast distances, never stopping, never giving up. "A difficult one," she said. As they approached the final 25 kilometers, Kim Tae moved into 3rd place. The 2 warriors ahead of him were barely moving, their enhancement systems failing one by one. The human just kept running, steady as a machine, but breathing like something alive. Something that had been born to run. Kim Tae crossed the finish line in 3rd place, 19 hours and 47 minutes after the race began. He was sweating heavily and breathing hard, but he was still standing. Behind him, the final 5 alien warriors stumbled across the line, their enhancement systems smoking and sparking. The winner, a massive Valorian named Grektar, collapsed immediately after finishing. Medical teams rushed to cool his overheated cybernetic systems. The 2nd-place finisher, a Zathari warrior, had cracks running through its crystal body like a broken window. Kim Tae walked over to the water station, drank 2 bottles, and started doing cool-down stretches. The alien audience sat in complete silence. 20,000 beings from across the galaxy watched a human do jumping jacks and toe touches like he had just finished a light workout. War Commander Dexver stood in his command center, staring at the screens. His hands shook slightly as he reviewed the race data. Kim Tae had maintained the same pace for the entire 200 kilometers. His biological systems had never reached critical stress levels. Most terrifying of all, his performance had actually improved during the final 50 kilometers. "Sir," said one of his officers, "the medical teams are requesting immediate examination of the human. They believe he must be using hidden enhancement technology." "Do it," Dexver said quietly. "I want to know how this is possible." In medical Bay 7, Dr. Park Nari watched as alien medical teams swarmed around Kim Tae with scanners and sensors. Dr. Vextel led the examination, all 4 of its arms working different pieces of equipment. "No cybernetic implants," Dr. Vextel reported. "No genetic modifications detected. No chemical enhancements in the bloodstream. No technological augmentations of any kind." The other alien doctors made sounds of disbelief and confusion. "Check again," demanded a Nexoid medic. "This level of performance is impossible without enhancement." Dr. Vextel ran the scans a 2nd time, then a 3rd. The results were always the same. "The human is completely natural," Dr. Vextel announced. "These are baseline biological capabilities for this species." The medical bay fell silent. Then, slowly, conversations began in dozens of alien languages. The human's translators worked overtime, turning the alien words into English. "Baseline? This is their normal ability? If this is normal, what are their enhanced warriors capable of? We may have made a serious error in judgment." Captain Lee Day stepped forward. "Dr. Vextel, you seem confused about human biology." "Would you like me to explain?" The tall alien doctor nodded eagerly. Please, I study warrior biology across the galaxy. I have never seen anything like this. Li Day looked around the medical bay at the gathered alien doctors and officials. My people evolved on a world you would probably consider a death trap, high gravity, extreme weather changes, dangerous predators, limited resources. For millions of years, humans survived by being able to run long distances without stopping. But the efficiency levels, Dr. Vextel interrupted. The cooling system, the oxygen processing, the energy storage and conversion, these are not simple adaptations. Dr. Park Nari joined the conversation. Actually, they are. Humans are persistence. Hunters, we evolved to chase prey animals until they collapsed from exhaustion. Our ancestors would pick a target and follow it for days, never stopping until it was too tired to run anymore. The alien doctors exchanged looks of what might have been horror. Days? Asked the Zithari medic. Your species can maintain pursuit for days? If necessary, Li Day said. Kimte is a good runner, but he's not even one of our best. On Earth, we have humans who run over 400 kilometers without stopping. For fun. Dr. Vextel's forearms trembled. For recreational purposes? Every year, thousands of humans run marathons as a hobby. That's 42 kilometers. Some people run several marathons in a single week. A new voice joined the conversation. War Commander Thexver had entered the medical bay, his yellow eyes fixed on the humans. You are saying that what we witnessed today is normal human capability? He asked. Basic fitness level, Kimte said, speaking for the first time since the race ended. I train about 6 hours a week, nothing special. Thexver was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, what is the maximum distance a human can run? Dr. Park Nari thought about the ultramarathon runners she knew on Earth. The longest recorded, non-stop, run by a human is about 5,000 kilometers. But that was just one person trying to set a record. 5,000 ... double quotes, Thexver's voice trailed off. Of course, that was on Earth, Li Day added. In Earth gravity, breathing Earth air, we're not sure how human performance would change in different conditions. Dr. Vextel was frantically making notes on its tablet. You mentioned that this warrior trains 6 hours per week. What do your elite athletes train? Professional runners? Maybe 8 to 10 hours a day, Kimte said. The medical bay fell silent. Again, Dr. Vextel was staring at its tablet like the numbers didn't make sense. 8 to 10 hours daily, it repeated slowly. And they can do this for how long? Years? Dr. Park Nari said. Decades sometimes. We have runners who compete professionally into their 40s and 50s. A Nexoid official who had been silent until now suddenly spoke up. What about your military forces? Are they trained to these standards? Captain Li Day smiled slightly. Kimte is military. So, and my basic military fitness requirements are actually lower than what serious civilian runners can do? Thexver's cybernetic systems made a quiet whining sound as they processed this information. Lower? The military focuses on different skills, Li Day explained. Running is just one component of overall fitness. What other components? Dr. Vextel asked. Li Day looked around the room at the alien faces. They were all listening intently now, like students trying to understand. A difficult lesson. Strength training. Combat skills, swimming, climbing, load carrying. We train soldiers to march 50 kilometers while carrying 30 kilograms of equipment. That's considered standard. Dr. Vextel's 4 hands were working frantically on its tablet. 50 kilometers, 30 kilograms. As a standard requirement. Every day, if necessary. Kimte added helpfully. An emergency alarm started sounding in the medical bay. Dr. Vextel looked at its tablet in alarm. What is it? Thexver demanded. Sir, Dr. Vextel said, its voice shaking, I have been broadcasting this conversation on the Galactic Medical Network. The response is ... significant. What kind of response? 17 species have requested immediate emergency diplomatic meetings. 43 civilizations have asked for human biological data. 6 military alliances want to discuss defense treaties. Dexter stared at the humans. Why? Dr. Parknari realized what was happening. They're scared, she said quietly. Of what? Of us. She looked around the room at the alien faces. They're realizing that if this is what we consider normal, they have no idea what we're actually capable of when we try. War Commander Dexter was quiet for a long moment. Then he asked, what happens tomorrow? Tomorrow? Lide asked. The second trial, 48-hour survival challenge. Are you still participating? Lide looked at Kimte, who shrugged. Sure, Kimte said. Sounds fun. Dr. Vextel made a sound like escaping gas. Several other alien doctors stepped back. Fun? Dexter asked. Well, Kimte said, it can't be harder than the time I got lost in the mountains during a training exercise. That was a week with no supplies and a broken radio. You survived a week without supplies? It was winter too, snow everywhere. Had to build shelters and find food. Made it back fine, though I was pretty hungry by the end. The alien doctors were backing toward the exits now. Dr. Vexta looked at its tablet one more time, then at the humans. I need to make some calls, it said quietly, and hurried out of the medical bay. Dexter watched the alien doctors leave. When the room was empty except for humans and Valorians, he turned to Lide. Commander, he said formally, I believe. My people may have made an error in judgment regarding your species. How so? We thought you were weak prey animals from a soft world. Dexter's yellow eyes showed something that might have been respect or fear or both. We were wrong. We're just humans, Lide said. Yes, Dexter replied quietly. That is what terrifies me. The survival arena looked like the worst nightmare of a dozen different worlds mixed together. The artificial sky showed two suns burning different colors, casting strange shadows across a landscape that changed every few kilometers. To the north, frozen mountains rose into toxic clouds. To the south, a desert of black sand stretched toward acid lakes that bubbled and steamed. Private Nam Jun stood at the edge of the starting zone, studying the terrain through binoculars. Behind him, the other human team members checked their basic equipment, water bottles, food rations, a first aid kit, and standard military gear. Around them, alien warriors prepared with technology that looked like it could supply a small city. The Valorians had environmental suits that could regulate temperature, filter toxins, and provide life support for days. The Zithari carried portable atmospheric processors. The Nexoids had deployed sensor drones and automated medical stations. 48 hours, announced War Commander Dexter over the arena's communication system. Survive the environment and complete 5 tactical objectives scattered throughout the territory. Environmental hazards include toxic atmosphere, temperature. Extremes from -40 to +70 Celsius, hostile wildlife, unstable weather patterns, and limited safe zones. Tech specialist Basol looked at her handheld scanner. Atmospheric composition is about 60% of what we need for safe breathing. The toxic components won't kill us quickly, but they'll cause problems after a few hours. What kind of problems? Asked Engineer Osung. Headaches, nausea, reduced coordination, like altitude sickness but worse. Namjoon nodded. We'll need to find shelter during the worst periods and move efficiently when the air is cleaner. He pointed toward a ridge of rocks about 5 kilometers away. Natural windbreak over there. Probably caves we can use. The alien warriors were busy setting up their technology. The humans walked to the edge of the starting zone and began looking for water sources and natural shelters. A Zithari warrior noticed them and made a sound like breaking glass that might have been laughter. Look at the primitives, it said to its teammate. No environmental suits, no life support. They will not last 6 hours. The starting signal echoed across the arena. Immediately, the alien warriors activated their protective gear and began moving toward the first tactical objective, a beacon located in the toxic cloud zone. Their equipment hummed and beeped as it filtered the poisonous air and regulated their body temperature. The humans moved in a different direction entirely. Where are they going? Asked a Nexoid observer in the command center. Dr. Vextel, who had been monitoring the humans since the endurance race, studied the tracking displays. They are not heading toward any of the objectives. Then what are they doing? Learning, said a new voice. Dr. Shin Hyo had arrived from Earth that morning as a consultant on human biology. She was watching the arena feeds with intense interest. They are studying the environment first. In the arena, Namjoon led the team to a rocky outcropping where they could observe the landscape safely. Look at the wind patterns, he said, pointing to the way dust moved across different areas. The toxic zone shifts depending on the wind direction. If we wait 3 hours, it will clear enough for safe passage. What about the objectives? Oh-sung asked. They're not going anywhere. But if we rush in now with inadequate protection, we'll be too sick to complete them anyway. Bae-sol was using her scanner to analyze soil samples. The groundwater here is contaminated, but not deadly. If we boil it and filter it through cloth, it should be safe to drink. The aliens are already at the first objective, Oh-sung reported, watching the tracking display on his communicator. Good for them, Namjoon said calmly. How are their environmental suits performing? Oh-sung checked the public performance data that all teams could access. Power consumption is higher than expected. The Valorian suits are working hard to keep their internal temperature stable. And the Zithari? Their atmospheric processors are running at full capacity to clean the toxic air. Namjoon nodded. They're using resources faster than anticipated. We'll see how long that lasts. By hour 6, the first alien warrior had activated an emergency evacuation signal. A Nexoid had pushed its mechanical systems too. Hard in the extreme heat zone and was experiencing critical overheating, the humans had reached the first objective by finding a natural path that avoided the worst environmental hazards. They completed the task while the alien team struggled with equipment failures and biological stress. Impossible, muttered Dexver from the command center. How are they operating in that atmosphere without protection? Dr. Shin Hyo pulled up her presentation. Files. Commander, would you like me to explain human adaptability? Yes. Dr. Shin Hyo activated a holographic display showing human evolution. Humans evolved on a world with constantly changing conditions. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, climate shifts, migrations across different environments. The species that survived was the one that could adapt quickly to new situations. But the toxic atmosphere is unpleasant but not immediately lethal to humans. Their bodies can process small amounts of toxins while their brains work to minimize exposure. They are not fighting the environment. They are learning to work with it. By hour 12, half the alien teams had experienced major equipment failures. The environmental suits were not designed for such prolonged extreme conditions. Cooling. Systems overheated, air filters became clogged, and power sources drained faster than expected. The humans had completed 3 objectives, and were setting up a shelter in a cave system they had discovered. Namjoon showed the others how to create a fire using local materials while Bae-sol purified water from an underground stream. This is basic survival training, Namjoon explained as he worked. Find shelter, secure water, make fire, conserve energy. Same principles work anywhere, even on an alien death world? Oh, Song asked, especially on an alien death world. A storm began during hour 18, bringing acid rain and winds that reached 80 kilometers per hour. The alien teams huddled in their protective shelters, their equipment straining to maintain life support. The humans moved deeper into their cave and waited it out. The acid will neutralize in a few hours, Bae-sol reported, testing samples of the rainwater. It's mostly sulfuric compounds. Nasty but not permanent. When the storm passed, they emerged to find that the acid rain had cleared much of the atmospheric toxins. The air was actually cleaner than it had been at the start of the challenge. Natural environmental cycle, Namjoon observed. The storms cleaned the air. The aliens' equipment told them the storm was dangerous, so they hid from it. They missed the fact that it was actually helpful. By hour 36, only 8 alien warriors remained in the field. The others had been evacuated due to equipment failures, biological stress, or environmental exposure. The remaining aliens were moving slowly, their protective gear barely functioning. The humans had completed 4 of the 5 objectives, and were approaching the final target, a beacon located in the center of a zone where the temperature fluctuated rapidly between extremes. -30 to +60 every few minutes, Baysol read from her scanner. The thermal shock will be severe. How are the aliens handling it? Namjoon asked. Sung checked the tracking data. 3 teams tried to cross, all of them failed. Their suits can't adjust fast enough to the temperature changes. Namjoon studied the zone through his binoculars. We'll need to time our crossing carefully. Move during the moderate periods, take shelter during the extremes. What shelter? Osol asked. The zone was mostly flat, barren ground. Namjoon smiled. We'll make some. The humans entered the thermal zone carrying bundles of materials they had gathered. Cave moss that insulated against cold, metallic rocks that absorbed and reflected heat, and woven grass that could serve as basic shelter. They moved in short bursts, timing their advance with the temperature cycles. When the cold hit, they wrapped themselves in the cave moss. When the heat came, they sheltered behind the metallic rocks and used the grass mats to deflect radiant energy. It was slow, uncomfortable work, but it was work that human beings had been doing for thousands of years in the mountains and deserts and tundra of Earth. They are crossing the thermal zone, reported a stunned Zithari observer, without environmental suits, using primitive materials. War Commander Thexfer watched the display in silence. The humans looked miserable. They were clearly cold during the cold periods and hot during the hot periods. But they kept moving, adapting their techniques as they learned more about the environment. Sir, said one of his officers, should we inform the other species about human capabilities? Thexfer thought about the implications. If humans could survive in conditions that defeated advanced technology using nothing but intelligence and primitive materials, what did that say about their potential as allies? Or enemies? Not yet, he said quietly. Let them see for themselves. The humans reached the final objective with 4 hours to spare. They activated the beacon and began the journey back to the starting zone, moving efficiently through terrain they now understood. Behind them, the last alien warrior triggered an emergency evacuation after his nexoid cooling system completely failed in the thermal zone. When the 48-hour period ended, only the 4 humans remained in the field. The communication center of Nexus Prime had never been so busy. Messages flooded in from across the galaxy, all asking the same questions about the human species. Admiral Song-woo arrived on the morning shuttle from Earth to find that the humans were no longer just participants in a combat tournament. They had become the center of a galactic crisis. Captain Lee Day, Admiral Song-woo said as he reviewed the situation reports, what exactly happened here? Lee Day looked tired. He had been answering questions from alien diplomats for 6 hours straight. We participated in their combat trials, sir. Kim Tae finished third in a 200-kilometer endurance race. The survival team completed their objectives, standard performance for our people. Standard performance that apparently terrified half the galaxy. Counselor Jang Mi, the political advisor who had arrived with the Admiral, was reading through diplomatic messages on her tablet. Sir, we have formal requests from the Valorian Empire, the Zithari Confederation, and the Nexoid Alliance for immediate defense cooperation agreements. Defense against what? Against us, apparently. Dr. Park Nari joined the conversation, carrying her medical scanner and looking confused. Admiral, I've been reviewing the alien biological data. I think there's been a fundamental misunderstanding about human capabilities. What kind of misunderstanding? They think we're superhuman. Admiral. Song-woo sat down heavily in the nearest chair. Explain. Dr. Park Nari activated a holographic display showing comparative biological data. Every species in the galaxy has reached the limits of their natural evolution. To improve their physical capabilities, they use cybernetic enhancements, genetic modifications, or technological augmentation. They've been doing this for so long that they've forgotten what baseline biological performance looks like. And we're baseline biological. Exactly. When they see a human perform at our natural level, they assume we must be using enhancement technology they can't detect. When we tell them we're not enhanced, they think we're lying or that our enhancements are so advanced that even we don't know about them. Counselor Jiang Mi looked up from her tablet. The political implications are staggering. 3 separate military alliances have asked for emergency meetings to discuss human threat assessment. 17 species want to establish defensive pacts with us. 6 civilizations have requested our protection against potential enemies. They want our protection? They've concluded that if our basic training level warriors can outperform their enhanced elite forces, our actual military must be unstoppable. War Commander. Vexfer entered the human area, his yellow eyes showing a mixture of respect and wariness. Admiral Song Wu, he said formally, I request permission to speak with you about a matter of galactic security. Granted. Vexfer activated a privacy shield around their conversation area. Admiral, my government needs to understand human military capabilities. What we have witnessed in the last 2 days suggests that our previous assessment of your species was dangerously incomplete. What did you think we were before? A young species from a minor world, possibly useful as trade partners or client races. Certainly not a military threat. Vexfer paused. We were wrong. Admiral Song Wu looked around at his team, then back at the alien commander. Commander Vexfer, I think you're overestimating our capabilities based on limited data. Am I? Vexfer activated a holographic display showing footage from the endurance race and survival challenge. Your warrior completed a 200-kilometer run that defeated enhanced warriors from species that have been perfecting combat techniques for millennia. Your survival team operated in an environment that our best technology could not handle, using nothing but primitive tools and biological adaptation. Those were impressive performances, but... Admiral, Vexfer interrupted, let me be clear about what this means from a galactic perspective. If these are your average capabilities, what are your elite warriors capable of? What about your special forces? Your enhanced soldiers? We don't have enhanced soldiers. Vexfer stared at him. What? Humans don't use biological or cybernetic enhancement for military purposes. Our soldiers are trained and equipped, but they're still baseline human. The alien commander was quiet for a long moment. All of them? All of them. Admiral, do you understand what you are telling me? You are saying that every human soldier is capable of performance levels that we consider superhuman. Dr. Shin Hyo, who had been listening to the conversation, stepped forward. Commander, may I explain something about human evolution? Vexfer nodded. Dr. Shin Hyo activated her own display, showing Earth's environmental history. Humans evolved on a world that tried to kill them constantly. Ice ages, volcanic eruptions, climate change, predators, diseases, resource scarcity. The species that survived was the one that could adapt to anything, endure everything, and keep going when other species would give up. But this level of biological efficiency is normal for a species that had to walk across continents to find food, climb mountains to escape floods, and run for days to avoid predators. Humans are not enhanced warriors, Commander. They are natural survivors. Vexfer looked at the data, then at the humans. Your entire species? All 7 billion of us, Admiral Song Wu confirmed. The alien commander's cybernetic systems made a quiet whining sound. 7 billion individuals with superhuman endurance capabilities. What we consider normal endurance capabilities, Dr. Park Nari corrected. Counselor Jiang Mi looked up from her tablet again. Admiral, we're getting more requests. The Ethon Collective wants to establish a mutual defense treaty. The Rigel Federation is offering exclusive trade agreements. The Centauri Alliance is asking about military advisors. They want our military. Advisors? They want to learn human training methods. Apparently, several species are wondering if they can adapt human techniques to improve their own warriors. Engineer Oh Sung, who had been quiet during the conversation, spoke up. Sir, there's something else you should know. Some of the alien species have been asking about Earth's military strength. They want to know how many soldiers we have, what kind of weapons we use, how we organize our forces. Why? Because they're trying to calculate whether they could defend against us if we decided to become aggressive. Admiral Song-woo felt a headache coming on. They think we're a threat. Sir, said Private Nam-jun, joining the group, I've been talking to some of the alien warriors. They're not afraid of our weapons or our technology. They're afraid of our people. What do you mean? They keep asking questions like how many humans can run 200 kilometers and how many can survive in hostile environments. When I tell them that most humans can do basic versions of what we did here, they get very quiet. Dexter nodded grimly. Admiral, from our perspective, you represent a species where every individual is a potential elite warrior. Your civilian population has capabilities that our military forces struggle to match with advanced technology. Dr. Vextel approached the group, all four of its arms holding different scanning devices. Admiral, I have completed my analysis of human biological capabilities. With your permission, I would like to share some findings that may be relevant to this discussion. Go ahead. Dr. Vextel activated a holographic display showing comparative biological data from dozens of species. Humans possess the highest baseline endurance efficiency in the known galaxy. Your oxygen processing, thermal regulation, energy storage, and stress adaptation systems are more advanced than species that have been genetically modifying themselves for thousands of years. That's just evolution, Dr. Shinhyo said. Yes, but you evolved on a world that would be classified as a Class 12 death world by galactic standards. Most species we know cannot survive on worlds rated above Class 4 without extensive technological support. Admiral Song-woo was beginning to understand the scope of the problem. So when other species see humans operating normally on what they consider a death world, they assume you are either using technology beyond their understanding, or that you are naturally so dangerous that your homeworld had to be extremely hostile just to contain you. Counselor Jiang Mi looked around at the group. Gentlemen, we have accidentally positioned humanity as the most feared species in the galaxy. Feared? Li Dai asked. Think about it from their perspective, she said. They see a species that considers superhuman endurance to be normal fitness. They see warriors who can survive in environments that defeat their best technology using primitive tools. They see a population of 7 billion individuals, all of whom possess these capabilities. And they have no idea what we're actually capable of when we try, Admiral Song-woo said quietly. Exactly. Vexfer made a sound that might have been agreement. Admiral, I must ask directly, what are human intentions regarding galactic expansion? Admiral Song-woo looked at the alien commander for a long moment. We want to explore, learn, trade, and make friends. We're not interested in conquest or domination. And if another species threatened Earth? Admiral Song-woo's expression hardened slightly. Then they would discover what humans are actually capable of when we're not just participating in friendly competitions. The room fell silent. Dr. Vextel's scanning equipment made quiet beeping sounds. Counselor Jiang Mi's tablet chimed with new diplomatic messages. Finally, Vexfer spoke.